Accept your death.
So I'm not sure about you, hater.
I'm not sure about me either.
I have never returned something to a grocery store. I don't think
Me either.
ever in my life. Like it's just, yeah. Even like the odd time, like I'll get like a thing of strawberries or raspberries, and sometimes like a few on the bottom won't be the greatest, and it's just like, oh, I mean, is it really worth it to me to return these and like go through and pick another? I don't know. I'm just like, don't get me wrong.
If you ask for something with no onions and they forget and it comes out with onions, do you just take the onions off or do you say something about it?
I won't say something about it unless it costs me extra money. I'm just like, that's the fate that I've been given. Like, unless it's something that's like completely
I'm the same
wrong.
way. It's not worth the potential conflict. I'm not looking for a hair or a loogie or something in my food either, right?
No,
like,
yeah, exactly. Like it's
just
unless it's something that's like completely wrong. Like I wanted like a double smash burger or something, and they brought me like tuna salad, then I'd be like, oh,
right.
I don't know about this. But like if it's just like they put tomato on when I ask for no tomato, like I'm a big kid, I can pick it off. It's fine. You know, I will say though that when I'm at the grocery store and they ask me if I want the receipt in the bag, I always say no, I'll take it separate because it just makes me feel like I have things going on in my life. You know, like I feel like I take my receipts separately.
I do need that receipt. I'm paying attention.
I am never going to look at it again. Never going to look at it again.
That goes directly in the trash.
Yeah, but it just
sits at the bottom of whatever bag they put it in, and like whatever ends up happening in that bag.
Yeah, and then I just throw it out.
Some dumpster diver knows what I buy at the grocery store.
yeah, exactly. That's but yeah, I'm never looking at that thing again. But it's just one of those weird things of my personality, I suppose.
Yeah.
But you know what I am looking at
feel
again is the comments from last week. No, let's go.
Hey, that was a good one.
I feel like every second week. You know, I'm not consistent enough for every week, but you know,
I'm gonna give that one a 3.5 out of 5 on the scale that I just made up right now.
Oh, that's
3.5.
That's a very generous. That's a very generous.
Oh, you think?
ranking.
Okay, so like 3. It was pretty.
No.
It was good. No, 3.5 is good because that's more. It was more good than like dad joke cringe. You know, like.
Yeah, that's fair. It actually had a little bit set up, a little bit of we're getting experience in there. Okay, so we're starting off with Error 9 talking about Havoc. It's a long comment, so I'm just gonna leave it on the screen if you want to reach it. But basically, swapping properties of the EX scoop and the normal scoop. That's how they would nerf Havoc. And I think like having an armored launcher, I'm not really sure, is the way to nerf this character? Question mark?
No, I saw somebody else mention like what they would change and what they think would be fair, and I would agree is that if their feet are off the ground, it can like extend combos, but it's not a combo starter. It's not going to launch them. He's not going to be able to mix you up with a low and start a combo off of it. But if he catches you in the air, right, or he can use it in the middle of combos to keep them going or side switch or whatever he wants to do. Do you think that would be fair?
I think that would be fair. Yeah, it adds like a different layer of you having to know how to use him as a character, you know?
I love how all the Havoc players are like, we know he's crazy, right? But we got to be reasonable. We don't want the wrong things taken away. But we know it's like,
they're aware.
It's too much. But let's have a very rational discussion about it. No downplaying.
I think that
no nothing, no gaslighting.
Because Havoc was like just so low tier for so long, and Havoc players, I gotta commend them. They're loyal. Like they stuck through it, all the low tiers and everything. And now that he's like top tier AF, like top 2 character, and everyone's playing him now because he's just so good. And they're like, let's get up.
I don't like them. Call me whatever you want, but I don't like. We've talked about before. I don't like playing top tier. Like I get the Natara irony or whatever, but. I don't like the way that people talk about it, right? I want to be just like under the radar and like a strong character, but not, like super meta or anything like that, because I just get tired of just all the constant talk about, and like when you're a Havoc player, and so when you play a character that's really low tier, then it gets buffed like this, and now everybody's playing it. It's like, but it's my main character, but now everyone's complaining about it and they're talking about it, but I am invested. It's the character that I want to play. I would hate that feeling.
Yeah, it's happened to me lots over the years with my characters. I'm personally really happy with where Quan Chi is right now. Like, he's perfectly right in the middle. He does what he does well. He takes a bit of thought to get his game plan
You don't
going.
think he's at the bottom of the tier list?
He might be on like the lower portion, but no, I don't think he's on the bottom. I think what he does is really, really strong. What he offers is good. He's not, breaking the game.
Give me a hot take. Who's at the very bottom?
Very bottom of the tier list, I would say Lee May's
If it's
down
not
there.
Quan. You think Lee May is the worst character in the game?
I think she could be.
Yeah.
It depends. There's a couple different metrics that people could make too, like cameo synergy and all that kind of stuff too.
Right.
So I mean, her being pretty much stuck with one or two cameos kind of sucks. Brock is kind of in the same boat, but I mean, Brock is brought up big time by his cameos. So, but
Brock is a menace.
He's annoying. He's annoying AF. That's for sure. But we'll get to that stuff another day.
Yeah, not to get too much off the subject here. I was just curious.
Next comment here.
That was a hot take.
Yeah, I'm gonna get some hate for that, but she hits for like 50% damage. Like,
right. I mean, she definitely lives down there, right? But
yeah, I don't know. Next comment here, Alucard says buff Sub-Zero, Takeda, and Smoke. And sounds like we're just gonna get right back into this conversation here, because this is why I chose this one, because I'm like, so like Smoke is another one that all the Smoke players are asking for buffs. I personally struggle in the matchup, and I don't know if it's a me thing. Like, I know all the options you can do. It just feels like he's got so many different ways to mix you up. If they play him properly, he's got good tools to react to. I don't see, but you're also not seeing him like winning tournaments too much, and like all the top 8s are crowded with Smokes either. So like, I don't know. I'm really confused on how to feel about him as a whole. They need to make something
that's really, really oppressive about him, without losing too much character identity. But he probably just is maybe not like his strongest stuff, but stuff that's like just make something that he's really good at a little bit worse, and make something that he like is really bad at like better. Like give him like a net buff from the bottom up, but you don't want to turn him into God mode like Havoc or something. But he's got gaps in everything, and a lot of his good stuff are their highs, and the cancels aren't really like the frames aren't that great, right? And you play with people that have ground the matchup, and they just know where to press, and some people get opened up, but he probably, I think, with the matchup knowledge, he's one of the easier characters to shut down. Right. Not for me personally, but that's word on the street, like what I hear people, talking about, and the stuff I see on Twitter. But he's definitely like he's not like an A tier character, I don't think. Like he needs something. Like what we talked about last week, he maybe needs a little bit of a rework. Don't make him too crazy, like the reptile treatment.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Also wanted to kind of comment a bit on Sub-Zero as well, because someone did mention we didn't talk about Sub-Zero last week because we weren't really talking about the characters that already got changes. I think that Sub-Zero's game plan now is pretty cut and dry and clear, and like I feel like he does what he does well, and he's got some couple different cameos he can use. That hitbox buff on his ice clone was super nice. So I think we let him ride for a bit, I don't see any reason to make any intense changes to him, but I'm also not a Sub-Zero player, so what do I know? I'm just a dude on the internet. And Takeda, I have no idea.
I mean, Takeda, I don't know either. I played Patient Impulse a little bit yesterday. He played a little bit of Takeda in part of the set or whatever, and after he kind of like got his groove after a couple games, it was an absolute nightmare. Like, what is even happening? I don't even understand all the stuff that's coming at me and where he is on the screen, and
right.
How do I get in on those buttons? I don't. I just don't understand the counterplay, right? But he's definitely. I feel like the consensus is he's a mid character.
Yeah,
like
I guess
he's a good character, but he's not like a strong character. Not like I said earlier. I feel like A is a good anchor, right? Like that's where I put like Katana and Melina and
sure,
other like really solid characters that maybe aren't like super uber meta, like dominating. So yeah. I don't know. What do you think?
In my experience with Takeda, I think he's knowing a little bit about the matchup. I haven't like ground down the matchup that much, but it feels like he's got lots of like overhead low options, but there's just such a large fuzzy window between them that it's hard to get somebody that's familiar with the matchup to like get hit by them. You know, if that makes sense.
You know Matrix, the Green Lantern player.
Yeah, yeah, familiar with
Also
him.
Takeda, MKX or whatever. Like greatly anticipating the character, the last DLC character. I just imagine, like you just are so committed to a character, and they're just kind of like, you can. I trust him to have like an honest opinion, like when he talks about things on Twitter, because he's not like using buzzwords and everything sounds like really collected and stuff like that. But he's like sticking to it. It sounds like sticking to my guy, sort of thing. He's got some sauce, and he's definitely like a good character, but trying to keep up with the rest of the characters in this game, I think, is a struggle.
Right. Yeah, and I would take him at his word too. I've known him for years to be a good player and knows what he's talking about, so I would trust his opinion on that. So I don't know. We're talking about characters that I'd put below Quan. All three of these characters, all three of them below Quan, plus Lee May, plus Rain. Actually, Rain's pretty good now. I'm just trolling.
Rain, oh my
I'm just
God.
trolling. I'm just trolling.
No, what is this like? Pre-release month 5 or whatever. How early do we think they released it? 6 months.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Rain was really bad. Like week 1, he was a weak character.
And Sonic Fox managed to take ECT with Rain. You know, the first major.
And just kept giving him stuff.
And here we are with the Rain that we got.
Yeah, he got that reptile treatment I was just talking about.
He did.
Would you feel bad if they did to Smoke what they did to like Reptile and Rain? Would you be mad about that as a card-carrying Smoke hater?
Probably. Just because I find him very annoying. But that's my own opinion, not based on any sort of fact or anything.
Emotional opinion.
An emotional opinion, yes. I would be right. You buff Smoke and that hurts my feelings, no matter how bad he is.
There's some characters you just don't want to deal with, right?
Everyone has
there are answers. It's just,
I don't want answers.
On a chalkboard sometimes. I don't want answers. I just want to be mad. I don't want to go fucking lab it.
Right?
How the fuck am I going to go lab that? How am I going to go learn? I'm going to go learn all these cancels so I can lab against them. It's just much easier just to you learn in the matchup, right? Like try to find your moments to poke.
It's true.
I guess.
I try not to be, I'm not going to lab it kind of person, but there are matchups that I just find so annoying that's very hard for me to get that going and get that mindset going and be like, okay, I guess I should go lab this, even though I really don't want to. I'd rather just play games and learn, but it
depends how intricate it is and how I'm not a very good at cancel type stuff, like even like Ermac cancels, Smoke cancels, things like that. I'm surprised I can even air dash with other characters and stuff.
Execution is not my strong point either. That's why I'm a zoner. Speaking of that, moving on to the last comment for this week. Laura says they should add Trance to Quan or give him a good mix-up and more health. I am all for buffs to Quan. I feel like
they did give Trance to Quan. This is 2-1 brutal.
Yeah, he's got that new brutality now, right? I don't really know how that would work in this game, to be honest. With the tools that he has, I don't know. I really don't. Like, every time you set up Trance, you would get a free armor portal. Unless they made it, like, really, really bad or, like, really... Kind of like what they nerfed in MKX, where, like, there's not much time for you to do moves after the Trance. Like, you commit to like an attack or a setup, but you can't have both. So
I bet it'd be similar to Scarlet's. Man, what was the name of that move? She had her version of the man. Why is it escaping me? But anyway, it was like good in the beta, right? It was like +9. She could jail and stuff like that, and then it ended up being like +2, I think, and then +4 if you spent bar, something like that. I don't know. So it was good. It was a restand. It took away wake up options and stuff, but with that spacing up minimal plus frames, it may as well just be neutral.
Yeah, it's
So I imagine it'd be something like that.
If
Nothing
they
too
were
crazy.
to do that, I would agree with you. Something that's just like kind of a restand, kind of an idea, and into pressure, not not really like Sindel's Scream where you can keep comboing off of it. It would just take away their wake up option, basically. But I don't really see
But
them.
it would loop into itself, right? You open them up, you trance them, you mix them up, and then you end that with the trance, and then they're resets, and you mix them up. That was like MKX, right?
Yep.
Or no?
Yeah, kind of. No, you're not wrong.
But you had to spend bar on it to get the mix up, right? Or to get the
fundablockables.
Yeah, that's what it was.
You still got one mix up off of the regular trance. I should know. I just played MKX yesterday.
I know. I watched the video.
I had a lot of fun. Even though I was kind of flailing around, I had a lot of fun.
You lost. You lost a lot like me. We both got beatings this weekend.
I don't think I won a single game the entire video. It's a shame.
I think you did at the very end. I popped off a little bit.
I did. Well deserved. Well deserved pop off. Some people were popping off about Ghostface recently. I haven't actually been public about my thoughts on Ghostface because they've had 3 little teasers for him, and I haven't really. I think it's cheesy when YouTubers make like somehow stretch out a 5-minute video of like a 30-second clip. I don't like to do that. I mean, I'd like to like get a compilation of all of them and then talk about them like I'm going to right now. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, is that what's happening?
Well, kind of. Well, I don't have it prepared, but like talking about like
No,
the first
yeah,
one.
yeah.
The first one was like where they showed off the masks, right? We saw like they had like the scorpion mask, which is actually pretty cool. Well,
That looks awesome. I was sold on it. Like that was love at first sight. And then I had to think about it. Like, why do I think that's cool? It's actually like a little bit silly, but I went back and rewatched it and it still hits. It does something for me.
yeah, and then they showed off like a couple of the masks there, and like I don't know, they're super cool. I wasn't expecting to be impressed by that, but like that's his gear piece now. Apparently, is
Well, they revealed today that the robes changed too. He's got one that looks kind of like priestly, and then like the spookier mask is got like the painted on skeleton like on his robe, like a Halloween costume.
That's pretty cool. I like
Yeah.
that. So like he's just got one giant gear piece and like his whole design.
I guess, so, but it's just like everything, like how he looks like, just yeah, all of his gear pieces, like everything. I mean, he's just a guy in a. People have been wondering ever since we found out he was going to be in the game. How are they going to make just a dude in a black robe and a mask like interesting? This is how they're trying to do it, and I think it could work. I'm interested. I'm anticipating the DLC.
Yeah.
Are you?
No.
No.
I'm not a fan of the franchise. I'm not a fan of the character. I just find him very not really fitting in this particular series. But to that being said, I'm not going to poo-poo on people's parades. Like people are excited, and I'm excited for them. That's
Right.
That's awesome.
For me personally, I'm from an older generation. I was like, how old was I when the first movie came out? I want to say I was 18 or 19 or something. When did it come out? 1990, whatever. Anyway, so for the time, it was actually like really prolific because it was like super meta, and they didn't make stuff like that. And Wes Craven did it, and it was like just had all these cool nods, and it was like this really kind of like it's like the difference between like those really absurd like caricature artists that you see at the the fair or something like that versus a regular portrait artist or something like that. It kind of just has this cool tone, like the way they showed that little intro clip today with Smoke and his intro. He just gets knocked on his ass. He's got to pick himself up off the ground. I was like, that is okay already. Like, I feel like that's just so true to the film. He's always getting thrown around and fucked up and microwaves hit with like whatever. And dude, it all blurs together for me. I don't know what's Scary Movie and what's Scream anymore. I tried to watch that one from 2022 and I made it about 20 minutes and I'm just wasn't feeling it. Like, it's not the same.
I see, and then like, I did see the Scream movies, but that was years and years ago. I just did like a binge of it.
Oh yeah,
but I don't really.
And your coming of age was Neve Campbell on this hit show called Party of Five, where she was like the dreamy sister that was kind of homely, but also like cute and everybody's crush. And there was posters of her on like walls and stuff for like, kid's younger than me. I was like 18 or like 19, but she was, she was a hot, like a very, very popular, and then she was like the star of that movie and stuff too. So it was like, Rose McGowan, everybody that was in it, Drew Barrymore at like, her peak, arguably, that era anyway.
I'm not going to be that guy that says I met her, but I was in the presence of Neve Campbell at one point. I'm not sure if I ever told you that story or not. It was kind of I was an extra on a movie set that she was in because they filmed it like just like about 40 minutes from where I live. Because I live.
Was it Scream?
No, it was. I'm pretty sure the movie flopped. It was called The Partition. But she's like
Partition.
Yeah, it's about like I guess something in the Middle East, and they put up some border somewhere. And I read the history about it afterwards, but I was just this extra, and my whole thing was to stand in line, and like we're all at this border crossing or whatever, and then we got on this bus, and they're like, okay, our next scene is we're getting on a bus, and this is us going to the thing, and I'm like, okay, so I walk up the bus, and right in the front seat, there's Neve Campbell right there. I'm like, oh my god, she's right there, she's right in front of me. I was just like waiting for her to like look up. She didn't look up at me, but I was like, oh. So I sat like probably 3 seats back from her with some dude who was actually oddly friends with my mom. That was really weird that actually ended up happening. But so I didn't meet her, but I was in her presence. And there's one point in the movie where you can see the back of my head, and that's all that made it into the movie, unfortunately.
No, so you're actually in the movie.
Yeah, for like a split second. It's like the end of a scene, and they like walk out of the line, and then you can see like the back of me like walking forward to the. Because I'm like, oh, there's me. And my dad being like, oh, that's it. Well, yeah. Are you sure that's you? Can't even see your face. I'm like, I remember.
Like all those combo breakers those combo breaker videos where we can see you in the background. There's at least one. I'm sure there's more. Yeah. Everyone vlogging there.
Yeah, that's true. There was somebody posted that in the Discord about Evo too. That it was like, oh, there's Dink.
Well, that's what it was. It was Evo.
Yeah, just in the background.
Not combo breaker. Yeah.
Perpetually in the background. That's me, a background character.
Aww.
No. Back to the topic at hand, though. There was that one little gameplay thing where we saw, the stabby real quick, and it was just short. But I mean, it was kind of what I expected, and you can see the two ghost faces kind of bouncing them back and forth. So I'm excited for the Kombat Kast to see how they make this character interesting.
Dude, I feel like every DLC character since Ermac, I've been duped every gameplay trailer into thinking that something is a special, like, oh, I wonder what that special move is, but it's actually like a part of their string. Like Ermac's jump 1-2-2 and his 2-1-2 and stuff like that. Like, oh, what's he canceling into? It's like, oh, it's the. So I wonder if they're gonna have stuff where like, second dude comes running out as part of like that. Say that's your forward 2-1-2 1+3 string or something, right? And it's got an attack grab at the end of it, and the grab animations, the other one coming in from off screen to do it.
I mean, that makes sense. That'd be kind of cool.
It could be a special, but
or if you can kind of control him independently of your character to have like a second cameo, that would be
like
busted.
Sento?
Yeah, that would be
fucked up. That would be an immediate turnoff. I would not even look at the character.
Yeah.
I don't like that stuff.
A little bit too much for me. I think I'm more excited to see what gameplay changes they make, because they usually show off like a couple of the big ones that they're doing of like buffs or nerfs or whatever. So I'm more interested in that kind of a thing. Especially when it comes to, there's been like some crazy stuff that's been going on since the last update, with like the fatal blow having like that one frame where you can't block it. That's kind of insane.
Yep.
The sector flamethrower thing. I would be shocked if they didn't, to be honest. They've been given a lot of time. It's been rocking for a while now, so I imagine as soon as they discovered it, that's one of the first things that they're actually going to fix, because I've seen everyone complaining about it.
What if that's one of those weird engine bugs that does not have like a direct answer? There's something like really specific about that. I don't know how all that stuff's programmed, but like, let's just like humor me, and let's say that they can't really do anything about it, at least not right now.
Yeah, so, I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I know how the programming works. I'm not one of those people that thinks that they know how to do somebody's job better than them. But I mean, if that were the case, I don't know. They'd have to find a way to balance it in another way. Like, I think the main culprit is with Sector, right? Like, it's mainly like Sector doing stuff with the projectile and something else happening on the screen, and that's what I've seen so far, anyways. People complaining
It's
about.
just an ambush. Well, are you're talking about the unblockable?
Yeah, the unblockable.
Yeah, it's just an ambush, right? So the idea, there's that frame that you can't block, and so if you have a character like an ambush or if you have a character like an ambush, Jesus Christ, if you have a cameo that has an ambush, right? And you can time the ambush to hit on that single frame that they can't block, 1 or 2 frames, whatever it is, then it's unblockable because there's no way for you to block it, and the ambush is active. So not every cameo can do that. The most obvious one is Sector. I don't know who else can.
I don't think I've seen it done with any other cameo. I could be wrong.
Maybe it is just him. The idea is the same, right? That could apply to anything, but maybe maybe the rocket, just the way that it is literally the only thing that can take advantage of it. Can you think of another ambush that could?
Maybe Motaro, because he alters the fail blow as well. Maybe, I'm not sure. His isn't a projectile though, so I don't know. But that's actually a good jumping off point to our main conversation today, which is going over the cameos. Y'all wanted us to kind of go over similar to what we did with the characters last week. So we have a couple tiers here just based on what's happened over time, whether we consider the character buffed, new moves, no changes, nerfed, or perpetually buffed, which means they're just always getting stuff. And we think
we should start there.
So, okay.
Going in order. Do you want to go in order?
I am totally fine. It doesn't matter to me. We can bounce around. Because when you talk about
I think it's easiest to talk about the cameos that have only received quality of life or buffs, right? That haven't been adjusted negatively, adversely in any way, right? They've only ever gotten better. So I think just like right off the cuff, that is Sector and Sonya and Darius and Sub-Zero and Frost, and who else do we have?
Shujinko,
Tremor.
Yeah, we have the Tremor patch.
Who else? I have to pull up a character list here. I can't quite see it on your thing.
Yeah, that's fair.
Those other knuckleheads are
taking up all the room. Goro would probably be another one. Goro keeps getting
because
stuff.
He hasn't been nerfed, right? They just give him that new 2-in-1 cancel stuff, so technically he's just...
Which I don't think saved him, by the way. His cooldowns are still terrible, and
it's not worth it.
No, it's...
No. It's definitely not worth... Like, it doesn't matter what you're giving me if it's behind that sort of cooldown.
I don't want it.
Yeah, I'm not very enthusiastic about that.
Yeah.
Motaro.
Oh yeah, Motaro as well. Man, so many of them. So many of them.
Who else do we have left?
Can
you drag them to the top? You can move them like in there. Can you just drag all the kind of cameos to the top line so I can see them?
Oh, I didn't know I could do that.
Yeah. Oh, Jax, right?
Yep. That cameo's crazy. I would say probably Scorpion as well.
Yeah, Scorpion just keeps getting better.
Yeah, and look at all those cameos. I feel like that's a good thing, though, right? Like,
I like their philosophy. This was a good idea to break it down. Whoever commented about that, spurred this discussion because I haven't really even thought about it until we started laying it out like this. Like, I didn't even prepare for this discussion, even though we kind of talked about that it'd be happening. I was like, that'd be kind of cool to just like off the cuff, right?
Yeah, just do it
organically, not try to like prepare any thoughts, but just kind of.
Yeah, because I think that there's so many cameos. There's very obviously they're like, we want you to use this, like Shujinko and Darius, cameos that you don't really see. Darius is really good now. Every time I play someone that actually knows what they're doing with Darius, it's really confusing because I just get mixed or I try and poke and I get armored. or you
And
trying
he can
to.
take your meter and some of those things too. And you have your opportunities to like flawless block and like really punish some of his stuff, or up block, some of the overheads and prevent the follow ups and stuff. So there's definitely some knowledge checks in there. And now that you can summon him behind like them, like at anywhere on the screen, that is
That
fucked
is
up.
crazy. Into a 50-50,
That is,
like
oh my gosh.
that is super crazy. And I think that like
Dude, full screen mix up, and if your character like Sub-Zero or Noob or somebody like that can, try to convert full screen.
yeah, I feel like we're gonna get into it more, but like I feel like right now the cameos are in a pretty good position. Like you know what each cameo is there for and what they're to take advantage of. Like Darius is for the little mix up things, but then a little bit of utility with the meter stealing and all that kind of stuff. So like I don't know, I feel like it's pretty cut and dry what cameos you should use with whatever game plan you're trying to go with.
Yeah, Sub-Zero can't convert full screen, I don't think. I don't know why I said that. I was thinking Noob, and then I just said, both of them. So anyway, yeah, so that's the list for the ones that have only gone up. Next, let's talk about like I feel like what category would we put Kano in, to where they didn't Knives get Knives is what was it? Was it Ball or Knives that got a little bit of a tweak, along with Raiden's tweak to kind of like try to kill that game plan, even though it's still
very much alive and well.
It still works.
It's still the idea. I mean, I guess he.
But he also got buffed. The laser got buffed and stuff, right? So he had a little bit of a nerf, and then he had a little bit of a buff, right? Nothing too crazy in either direction. Very modest.
Yep, very modest. I mean,
where would you put him, and who would you put in there with him?
I feel like
I put Chameleon in the same category.
You think so?
Because they did take away 50 health, and she is more vulnerable on the screen, and you can really see it, not even with just trying to do gotcha stuff with Jax. Like, she's getting pegged by stuff. Sometimes that's what you want, right? You actually don't... I don't think you want Chameleon to be a meat shield the way that you don't mind it being like Serena or Tremor or Shujinko or something like that sometimes, right? You need her to be off cooldown for like your neutral and your combos and like everything. I don't know. I'm not a Chameleon player, really. But I would say she got a slight buff by being able to change directions. So now it's not the constant flow of Katana into Melina and those conversions we always see, fan lift into size and all that stuff. It opens up whole new pathways, right? Because now it's Jade into Melina and Melina goes into Katana. If that's what you want to do, you have control over that. I think that, I don't know how useful that is. Again, I don't really play the Kameo, but on paper, I think that sounds good. I think that sounds... not like a huge buff or anything, but that definitely opens up new pathways, new possibilities.
Yeah, I think that, like, I agree with you that Kano and Chameleon are both in the same one. I think that it would probably, like, she definitely doesn't feel as strong as she was when she was meta, but it feels like she's still a fair cameo. So, like, I feel like having them both in, like,
she's still a complete pain in the ass.
She's still really annoying. She's still really good. I think I would like either in kind of the no changes, like everything like leveled out kind of idea, or like the nerfs, where it's like she's definitely not as good as she was, but she's certainly still a problem. And I think the same with Kano too. So like, I don't know, either nerfed or like no changes. Yeah, I don't know.
And again, this isn't like a tier list, a list of like strengths or anything like that, right?
No, this is just talking about stuff,
adjustments that they've made over.
Because like they
over
gave
time. So who else would we put in that tier? I feel like another two characters that would go together would be Stryker and Kung Lao. They just gave Kung Lao that new, or like the Tempest hat. They haven't given anything new to Stryker, but they definitely nerfed. I guess it's just the grenades over and over, right? He got the grenades got nerfed, the cooldown got nerfed. The cooldown's still bad, but the grenades got better, so you're still using him in a similar way that you were before, but it's not quite the same, but it's still actually quite obnoxious,
yeah, I mean,
in my opinion.
Yeah, he can still do that annoying, like, just do unsafe stuff in the grenades, but I mean...
it looks like it's getting buffed again. I saw Ultra David comment about something like that in that Ghostface teaser. You recognize some different sort of hidden animation with that Stryker grenade, like, or maybe it was like used as an extension at the end of a combo or something. I don't know. Is he already doing stuff like that?
I mean, the grenades bounce. That was a change they gave him in the last patch. He
They
got a
gave
little
that to
bounce.
him the same time they had sector rockets now bounce.
Right. So I think that was
Right,
in like the
that's
post Evo patch, if I remember correctly, around that time. But I don't know what other changes is coming. I missed that comment from Ultra David, and I didn't look too closely. I don't really care about Striker. I'll never use the Kameo. I find him just a dry character, to be honest. And
I don't
his
like him.
Kameo just isn't really anything I want to do. So I don't know.
I feel like if you just completely don't even replace him, if you just, and I'm sorry to all you Striker fans out there,
Yeah, sorry.
but I'm sorry for like what they did to your boy. And you know, you can make whatever judgments you want about me for what I'm about to say, but I think if you remove Striker from the game would be a net positive for just the health of the game overall. But he's
Right.
not like so rampant. He's not like, you know,
You
I
still
feel like
see
a lot of people would say that about Farah, but I can't bring myself to say that about Farah. But I think she's like more of a terror. I have just a lot of PTSD, like a lot of resentment against Stryker. Fuck that guy.
Yeah, like I would definitely say if you think about how powerful he was in his meta, similar to, I would say he's worse than Chameleon too. Like I definitely would have him in the nerf tier because when you think about, same with, you're right, same with Kung Lao, like just how dominant both of them were with just the silly things that they did to where they are now. Like they're definitely nerfed from where they were before. So I mean, even if they keep changing them or whatever, but they're not nearly as obnoxious as they were before, which is a good thing for the game, I think, especially with how, like back Kameo. It's not, it's not hard.
So, Cyrax probably belongs in this tier as well. I think that he's been a little bit more extreme. Like they just completely gutted that copter chopper, right? And it took them a long time to compensate for that. And first we got now the net drains a full bar of meter, which
That's
is
so crazy.
so strong. And now the new bomb stuff and all of that. And you see him on a lot of teams. Like he is back in action. I see Cyrax everywhere, and he makes a lot of characters good. I think they did a really good job, not with Cyrax launch, but where Cyrax is right now. I think that's cool. They made good decisions and stuff, but I think that he's kind of like the more extreme of this tier. Like made something like really, really bad, just completely like gave it the Captain Cold nerf treatment, right?
Right.
Just unusable. Like why would you even? Because they just didn't know what to do about it or whatever. I don't know what the reason was. But the few times like they have like rebuffed him, I think is like really good for him. Very strong.
Yeah, and they made like all of his tools kind of viable too. With like having the like the little grenade stance thing that he does, and like some of the crazy stuff he said with Sindel doing with that is pretty crazy. So I don't know.
Yep.
Obviously, again, he doesn't feel like in the same tier as like Kung Lao and Stryker. Like he's still out there, he's still doing things. He's like, but he's just not as easy to use as he was. No straightforward game plan kind of idea. So
that's why I like seeing him, right? It's always anytime a bomb is on screen, I'm just like, rubbing my hands together. Just what's about to happen here? What's the mix up? I can't wait to see. I've never seen like Lee May Cyrax before, like whatever it is. Like what's she gonna do? Because that always gives me ideas. Maybe not for that character, but if Lee May can do that, one of the characters I play probably has a version of that, and then start messing around with those sorts of ideas. I really like the idea of him. I think he's a cool cameo.
Yeah, I think he's neat too. I think I'd put him in like just like new moves. I think he's changed more than he was like nerfed, to be honest. Like just more of a fair cameo, I guess. What about Farah? Moving on to Farah.
So this would be like a tier. Let's talk about characters that have only gotten worse, right? Not the characters that have only gotten better, but the characters, whether it was one time or multiple times, but they are empirically worse than they were at launch. So I think Farah belongs in that category because they've nerfed the low twice. They took 50 health away, and that was all like really welcome changes, right? Kind of normalized her, and she's still terrorizing people. It's not as strong as it was, obviously, but she's still like very, very good. But overall, like she's had no buffs, right? They've only taken stuff away. So Farah lives in that tier. along with Movado. And Janet, I think, had some scaling changes. I remember hearing somebody talk about jump punch combos maybe doing something different.
Yeah, so
They did
they
some of that shadow scaling the way that they did with a lot of Movados. They've done that to Movado like 3 or 4 times, it feels like.
yeah, they definitely made the jump punches scale more.
Okay.
But it didn't feel like that was to like completely gut her, because they did change some of her other things to be like, hey, you should be using these things more instead of only this.
Right, but they didn't make anything better, right? They're like, we're talking just like in a vacuum, right? No matter how even though it's for the better health of the game, it's still just nerfs. And so Farah, I don't think belongs with those other ones. She's like in her own tier, right? Probably like with Janet, if we're just talking about characters that that just do worse than they did on launch day,
Only
even if it is just a
nerfed.
little bit of scaling. Yeah.
We're gonna make a new one here. Oh, we're taking away our perpetually buffed because we didn't even use that one. So we're going only nerfed.
No,
Janet
I feel
and
like
Farah.
it's just the buff tier. The buff tier is the perpetually buff.
Yeah.
And this would be like, because a lot of them have seen buffs over and over and over again, right? Like 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, it's true. Shujinko being one
So
of them.
Movado belongs in there.
Only nerfed.
Yep.
And then we have one cameo left. The only one.
The only character in the game that has not received a single change. Oh, wait. They did change. I don't think they changed anything significant. It was like hit animation bullshit.
Yeah, nothing significant. They've never like gave her a new move or taken anything away. I think it was the only change they ever made to her was how the meter was drained right off at launch. And I think that was like first patch kind of stuff, if I remember correctly.
It's like bug fixes, right? A lot of stuff with the curse positioning or her lingering on stage between rounds. I'm just kind of like quickly like control Fing through the patch notes.
Because if I remember correctly, when the game first came out,
oh no, they did buff her. Yeah, the meter drain.
Yeah, the meter drain sometimes would, if you were doing multiple hits, your character would get the breaker before it could drain the meter. So then they changed that. So then that's technically a buff.
I think it was a bug the way they talked about it. Like it was not working. It was intended to always drain a bar of meter, but something about the interaction, like the proximity that they were to the ground or something, or the way that they built meter. What did they change? I'm sitting here in the patch notes. Where is it?
It was very, very early on because I remember it being a thing at ECT.
Yeah, it was one of the really early patches. So yeah, every cameo's been touched at least a little bit.
So which begs the question with the next update, who's going to change? Are they going to do any changes to cameos? Do you think
fixed an issue. So it wasn't a buff. Yeah, she is unchanged.
Remains unchanged.
Scaling, I don't feel like is a bug fix. I feel like that's a balance adjustment, but this was like not working as intended. Fixed an issue allowing the opponent to gain super meter while they're being hit, like while in the curse. So it's just supposed to drain the way that like Cyrex does, like in the net.
Right.
Anyway, that's not all. You build back some, but I think it was just building back too much or at 100% or something.
Yeah, it was allowing breakers when it was supposed to take away your breaker, essentially.
That says fixed issue, and it's listed with like punish message now appears if the character is hit during, the recovery of fatal blow and things like that. So that's
not
why
even in
I
her
also
notes.
say that. So I think that she is probably, it'd be safe to say that if she is not absolutely unequivocally untouched, she is the least touched. And is that a sign of her being the most well-rounded? A lot of people call her the training wheels cameo or the, baby mode cameo. How does that make you feel, Dink?
I agree with that. And I don't think there's any problem with that. I think that she's the basic cameo that, like, you get your combo extenders, you get a little projectile, you get a curse, you get a reversal. Like, it's like, if someone were to ask me, I'm just learning Mortal Kombat 1, what cameo should I use? She would be the one that I'd suggest every single time. But, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that.
I really like using
her.
her. Yeah. I like using her when I'm learning a new character, and it's like, okay, I'm not even trying to learn a team. I'm trying to learn a character. So she's kind of like the default, and it's just to try to, like, slow things down. Like, You need to chill, bro, or you're just gonna eat like projectiles and stuff like that. And as soon as you do that, now I've got more time to think about like when what's going on and stuff. So she allows you to kind of maybe turtle a little bit, like more of a defensive. Even though she gives you like you can unload some serious damage with her as well. But I feel like that's the main thing that she brings is that sort of thing. And I think it's really fun to play with the curse stuff. I think losing meter does psychological damage to people.
Yep.
And so even though it's her only ambush, I still like it. And sometimes I'm just in the mood,
Yeah.
So
I remember on launch and everybody was using Serena and like it was just there was so many like controversial opinions and thoughts and people throwing shade at people for using Serena and blah blah blah. And it's like
I know, trying to like just shame people off of it. They didn't want to deal with Kia Blade's block strings.
It's a good move then, still a good move now. I wouldn't be surprised.
Serena, formerly known as the #1 Kameo for like the first 4 days of the game.
Right.
And then it was Scorpion.
Yeah, with his big damage and all that kind of stuff. I wouldn't be surprised.
People really started discovering throw combos and armored launchers and stuff, Scorpion was everywhere. I feel like.
Yeah.
But now lots of cameos kind of like can do that for you, so he's been kind of left in the dust.
Relegated. I still don't see too much Scorpion outside of, Lee May. That's about it. Still a good cameo.
It's a shame.
Cool,
it's a shame.
Cool
I would love to use him. I wouldn't be mad about picking up Scorpion for any of my teams at all.
Scorpion, I think, is like a hyper-specific cameo. Like, you have to have characters with certain moves and certain things for Scorpion to really, like, take advantage of that, which is fine. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. As long as he's not, like, too relegated to a corner, like, where he's only viable with 2 characters, that kind of thing.
Yeah, and I love how unique his reversal is, right? And the kind of balance behind it. It's armor, so you still take the damage and stuff, but it becomes less useful as you get closer to the corner. I think that I bet it has really good applications that I am not aware of, but I'm not sure about the diminishing returns on it. So you kind of just have to be, used to not have, because it's meant to be used as a reversal, right? Or I guess what are you getting at, a block pressure or whatever? Are you doing an old 1-2 on somebody and then just eat yourself out? How are people using it?
I haven't seen anyone really using it, to be honest. Like, most of the people are just using it for the combo extensions, a little bit for the unblockables, but that's about it. I don't really see anyone using it outside of hyper-specific things, so maybe that could be something.
I love the idea of that unblockable, and I love that it costs the full bar. Like, it's just their way of saying, like, this is a round closer, right? You've got it. Like, blow your load, OTG, like, do whatever, like, you want or whatever. It'll be expensive. And it's not a ton of damage, but like when you need it, it's going to be like super clutch. I like that a lot. The idea of that a lot.
Yeah. No, I agree. And I think he could be one of the cameo. Like, I'm trying to think of who's going to get changed, because everyone's going to change at some point, and it seems like they had certain patched.
Oh yeah, who's going to get new moves?
So my prediction is that Scorpion's going to get something, Serena's going to get something. Yes, again. I think that he's still not where they want him to be.
I agree with that.
Like I said, he's just too painted into a corner, so I think they're going to give him something else, or just one of his moves in one way, maybe his armor in one way or another. Like, instead of like the sphere, maybe like that might be too close to Motaro though, like grabbing you and teleporting you.
Yeah, maybe like a play on that. I could see them doing that, or there's like a 2-in-1 cancel that you can do, or just a different version of it, right? So maybe he gets a more traditional reversal, but then he also gets to keep this too, because Scorpion.
He's Scorpion.
That'd be cool. I would try it.
And I think
he already has a safe overhead combo starter. I mean, it starts up in 30 frames, but
it's a little slow. But I mean,
it's really slow, even by Kameo standards. Once that double-digit number has a 3 in front of it, like I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Low 20s. Frost Ice Carpet's like 26 or something. Other things they usually have, like Grab, I think, is like 23 or 24.
Quan's 27 frame overhead.
Yeah. To sniff my armpits overhead.
Yeah,
Oh, look, I shaved my armpits this morning overhead. That overhead.
super
Only if he
smooth.
charges it. That's the pop off. He's like, chick for women. Don't judge. It's like the best on my skin. It's the best for that sort of application.
It's sensitive in
You
that.
know, and he's got a lot of body paint to. Well, I guess it's not body paint, right? He got the skin pigment scared out of him in the story mode.
Yeah, I still don't really know what happened there. That was really weird. Who knows if they'll add in like a different colored skin?
What a weird plot device.
It is weird. I remember seeing it and be like, "What the hell just happened?" And I went back and watched it again. And I was
By
like,
the way, just a stray one of these flew out of this thing here and hit Quan Chi, and now he's white. Looks like he's like an albino white.
Right? It's that never made any sense to me. But
he's like, "Is this the set of God of War? It's supposed to be on God of War."
So apparently there's something else coming to Striker. Don't really care about that. I do think they're going to adjust Goro's cooldowns. I think at this point, even though they gave him like the 2-in-1 stuff, it's still not enough to use them. Those cooldowns are terrible, the worst by far. I think that maybe they're not going to buff it, but like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's like did they learn nothing with the Tremor adventure? Have they learned nothing? Like, and look what they did. So Tremor is a cameo that gives you 100 health, and they just buffed the cooldown on all his stuff because it was just atrocious, right?
Yeah.
Goro is in the same situation, and he takes away 50 health. I don't think Goro is nearly as scary as Tremor is, like in the right sort of teams. I guess it depends on the team and stuff. Goro can actually be pretty fucked up, but whatever that cooldown is, 12 seconds or whatever it is, when most other cameos have like 8 or 10 or something.
Yeah, like
I don't know the hard numbers, but he's definitely like 2 seconds slower than the average, the median or whatever.
I don't think this is a hot take. I think many people would agree with me here, but I think Goro is the worst cameo. Just all around, like he does some fucked up stuff.
Cool, dude. When they showed those early trailers pre-release, and Melina Goro was one of the little gameplay teasers that they showed, and I was like, that would be fucking sick. Melina running around with Goro.
That would be pretty cool from a lore standpoint. But
yeah, it would be cool.
I think that like even if you made a small change, like I don't like health balancing, but that would help him a little bit if he like gave you health. Like taking away health while also having the worst cooldowns in the game. He's
living in the old world. His problem is that he hasn't caught up the way that they've tried to catch up other, I'll call them legacy, like OG cameos. Like they just keep giving stuff to Sonya, right? To try to and Sub-Zero. I'd put him in the same category that like Sub-Zero and Sonya, or he should be up there with them, right? Getting that sort of love. Because he's the only cameo left. Well, he's like with Serena, kind of living in the old world, even though he's been buffed and stuff, right? But she's probably still better overall, definitely across the roster if we're talking synergy. I'm sure Goro has sauce with everybody, but not the. I don't know.
No, I would agree with you.
He needs something. Whether that's a little bit of a rework or. I don't think that the 2-in-1 cancels for just your full bar. The problem's the cooldown. So what we're going to do is give you way more opportunities to just spend your whole bar at one time and not do anything about the cooldown. Everything you hated about unblockable setups, we're just going to give you like, what is it, 3 or 4 more ways to just do that.
Yeah.
And there is some really cool stuff. It's too painful. Too much pain.
Yeah, like when I'm playing against somebody using Goro, I'll just block and wait for them to use him, and then he's gone. I don't have to worry about it for probably the rest of the round. Like, okay, bye Goro, thanks for your one chance, and maybe it worked, maybe it didn't. Either way, I have a whole round I don't have to worry about a cameo for, so thanks. So I anticipate him getting buffed with his cooldowns, and then maybe adding something to Serena just to keep up with the Joneses kind of thing, make her a little more interesting.
I think Up Punch does something so specific. Like, that's a really unique one because of its speed, and it can be directed, and it can do things, kind of like Rocket. Not like Rocket, it's just unique. Like, we were just talking about how Sector's Rocket was what was taking advantage of this fatal blow bug, unblockable bug thing. But there's things that, like, Up Punch can do that I don't think other cameos can. And Sonic pointed this out to... Hourglass of Rain was talking about Molina's forward 3/4/3 string, and it's got an extension that only comes out on hit. It's one of her new brutalities. It's awful. Anyway, it doesn't come out on block, but the moves list says that it's like +4 or something. And so that was the kind of like Twitter dialogue. It's like, why does this even exist? But they've done that before, right? They definitely say things that are like an Justice 2 had all sorts of bad frame data in it. So this was like +17 on block, and it doesn't even come out on block. You know,
Yeah,
shit
like
like
atrocities.
So I always assumed, yeah, it was like I just assumed it was like something like that. And Sonic's like, no, do forward 3/4 and a Goro up punch, so forward 3/4 up punch 3, then finish the string with 3, and you'll see he comes in, he up punches, and then the last hit comes out, but they can block. You know how sometimes you get like that auto block stuff when you try like use a splatting overhead with say Sector's Rocket or another ambush, right? And you can just auto block. It's got block protection. So it's like that and makes her plus, but that just seems so specific. And I'm not sure who else can do that, but that's at least a sign of like his application, and it is his speed. I've heard Mustard, I think, talk about specifically when he's talking about Goro, and that's what kind of sets his ambush apart is that it's, you know, I don't know.
Yeah.
How far in advance you have to call it Goro. I'm not a Goro player.
I will never be a Goro player. Even if they buff the Kameo, I'm not interested in Goro very much at all. But I'm happy for Goro enthusiasts. No, like I get it. He's a classic character, one of the first like sub bosses, whatever. He's just not my type of character.
What does it for you about Motaro but not Goro?
I think it's the way that Motaro allows me. It's that tail, bro. That tail got me feeling all sorts of ways, you know.
Bro, it's chromed.
Chromed, the old chromed. It was more a gameplay thing with Motaro. I mean, I really don't see Goro ever playing in a way that helps me, to be honest. But maybe he will. I have no idea. I still probably won't play
I mean, what about just like characters, right? Not even like gameplay, but you're reading the MKX comic book. Is Goro cool, or is he like, yeah, whatever?
I think he rips off Kotal Khan's. No, Kotal Khan rips off all his arms.
Rips off his arms.
Yeah, so that's not
in
even
an
cool.
attempt to disgrace him, right?
Yeah,
like that was a big part of Goro's arc. So he goes home in shame or whatever, and preparing for this disgrace. And his father has like a change of heart. He's not going to do that to his son, And then he comes back stronger.
Like metal arms or something. I don't remember what they did with that. But
Goro Jax had like one of those invasions. You've been invaded, Goro Jax.
Goro Jax.
That'd be funny if they made like how Cameos or Janet Cage is still in Invasions, right? As Johnny Cage, just with Johnny's moveset.
Right.
But it's still her skin. That would be so funny if we saw a mashup, but it was 2 cameos.
I would love that. That would be hilarious. So I guess that's it for another week. We went through all the cameos, our predictions. If they don't nerf Sindel, I bet they're going to buff Goro, and then Sindel Goro is going to be the next broke thing. Because every time they buff a cameo, there's Sindel fucking making use of it. Happened with Lao, happened with Cyrax, now it's happening with Tremor. Sindel just running wild, but I think she's going to get nerfed anyway. So,
you think?
I think so. I think it's about time. She's
and
just
that's
too
November the 19th, right? That's patch day and early access day, or is that release day? Because isn't there early access for the DLC?
I don't remember.
I thought the very first teaser they said that it releases whatever for early access, but maybe I misread that.
No, I believe.
But it's a week from. I mean, we're recording this on Monday, so it's a week from tomorrow. He comes out
Tuesday. So we'll see. We'll see if our predictions were right. If our only nerfs hold up or not.
Oh. I hope he's fun.
Yeah, I probably won't be playing him. I'll probably try him out just to be like, get familiar with his moveset, but I don't think I'll be playing him at all.
You should make a YouTube video and then make a face and put it in the thumbnail.
Oh, we'll be doing that.
And then the intro for that video, you can just play this recording that we have right now, right? You're reusing your asset.
Reusing, yeah.
Right? But you're adding context.
Of course, we have to. We'll see.
Like this asshole I do a podcast with insists that I made a Ghostface video, so here you go. I don't like the character for this reasons. Top 5 reasons I don't like Ghostface. And then at the end, you really do like him. And then the dark Dink music starts.
Man, you're creative.
And then it's a hard cut,
Hard cut to just the roast of Ghostface. The ghost of Roastface.
No, yeah, Ghostface. The Ghostface ping, right? And just grab it online or whatever, but put one of those DC caps on them, you know?
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Ghostface was the character Dark Dink needed all along.
And he should say, ghosted.
It writes
Right,
itself.
right.
It
Throws
writes
off his
itself.
hat and says, ghosted. Yeah.
You may be onto something there, hater. You may be onto something.
I don't think so. I think people are ready for this to be over.
I think you might be right. So thanks again for listening for another week, everybody. And as always, if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like because it really helps me out. And subscribe if you haven't, because I make new videos almost every single day. Hashtag Bonehawks, all that stuff. And we'll see all you Bonehawks in the next video.
Accept your death.